I want to welcome everyone here today to our OLLI class. We're thrilled and honored to have you all here. Just a few announcements for our OLLI members, and I'm going to turn it over quickly for a little brief advertisement for the Halloween parade.
Hello, my name is Glenn Young, and I'm a member of OLLI, and I'm part of a planning group that's trying to put together the Halloween parade on the 27th, which is a Sunday. So we're looking for people to register. Right now, we only have 5 people registered, so that concerns us because we don't know if we need to go forward or can go forward. So we need your help to participate in this event. Of course, it's a great event throughout the community. It's very well recognized by a lot of people in the area. And of course, it's an event for all ages. So we want to be part of that as part of the publicity for OLLI. And it's always a lot of fun. Last year was our first time. It did rain, but we still had fun. This year's theme for us is going to be a sub-theme called Beetlejuice 3. It's our adaptation to the first 2 movies. We're going to reinterpret that. So it should be interesting. So take a look at your newsletter. All the information is there. And please sign up early so that we know going forward we can participate. Thank you.
If you want to help get other people involved, look at the newsletter that came out yesterday and it'll give you information. Other than that, I'm going to ask you to silence your phones, or if you have to take a call, please leave and go outside so you don't disturb the rest of the people here. And it is with great pleasure that I introduce our instructor leader today. And for those of you who don't know, this is Commissioner Michael Muldrow. Michael is a proud advocate for York, a champion for youth, and a long-standing presence in our local law enforcement community. Over the course of a decorated 20-year career, he had the opportunity to serve in leadership roles both with the York City School District Police and now the City Police Department for more than 12 years. Michael believes that his greatest attributes are his ability to relate to people, his drive, a positive outlook, and a creative, non-traditional approach to problem solving. So let's welcome Michael.
I almost feel like I'm coming through the middle, like literally doing the talk show, like I want to run through, get ready to break the tape at a football game again. But thank you all for having me. I truly appreciate being here, being able to participate with the OLLI group again. This has been such a unique journey for me, meeting with your team, if you will. This is my 4th go-around now, and the panelists may not all know this, but it's been exciting to actually be part of the maturation process. The first year when you all invited me to present and to be with you all, I came as a novice with nothing but a concept, and I was able to sit with you guys. We were on Zoom. We were still battling and dealing with COVID, and we were on a Zoom screen, and you had this guy that you didn't know, and this unrecognizable face and this unrecognizable name, and you were willing to sit with me and take a journey on the dreams that I had. Everything in that conversation was, I'm going to do this. What I want to do is this. I'm going to try to do this. My goal is to get here and do this. And you were open, you were awesome, you were so receptive, and it gave me an awesome sounding board to bounce ideas off of. The second year I got to come back, it was after a year of the work and starting to actually put these things into place. And I always felt like I was on a relatively short timetable, just because that's how I function in life. I function like you never know when it's going to be your last day. You never know if this opportunity that you have is the last one you're going to get, so you have to just kill it, throw everything at it. And we got a lot done in the space of year 1 to year 2. We really accomplished a lot. I mean, we introduced therapy dogs, and We brought in juvenile outreach, and we started to look at revamping what we were doing with GBI. We did so many things. Started partnering with the hospital, even right off the bat. And we got a lot done in a really relatively short time. So the year 3, as we started to see successes, as we started to accomplish these goals, I was determined year 3 to let you meet the people that were boots on the ground with me doing the work. And I brought you my whole team. And maybe to the chagrin of Penn State, York, and the campus here, as I brought dogs and guns and extra officers and 30 people, but I had this room full of the actual people that do the work because I was excited about the successes that we were having, but I didn't want to stand here in front of you and take the credit. So it meant a lot to me to be able to bring you those people in my building that are boots on the ground. And so this year, it just feels like the natural progression to, one, be able to highlight the successes that we've had, but also let you see, talk to, and work with the people that got us there. So at this point, if I could get some assistance, if you could cue the video for me, I'd like to momentarily pause and highlight the success in pure, true Mike Muldrow fashion, which is going to always be with a lot of fluff in a very animated way, but I would like to just take 1 minute to be able to look at those successes that we were able to accomplish, plan for you all, and let you see it, and hopefully you're as excited about it as we were. Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Muldrow, the Commissioner of your York City Police Department. I'm so happy to have a few minutes in front of you today. Happy not only to talk to you about the things we're doing as a department, but even more, I'm excited to talk about what I'm seeing happening around this community. See, we've done a lot of good things in the course of these first 3 years. Good things that could only have been accomplished working with incredible people like you. Slowly but surely, we're changing hearts, changing minds, changing what law enforcement looks like, and helping change this place we've all come to work, play, live, and call home. We have a police department who's going from 4% representative of underrepresented populations and minorities to nearly 30%, when the national average is only 10. A police department with a 90% approval rating, 4.5 out of 5 stars from our customer interaction surveys. A detective bureau with an 80% clearance rating, as the national average is only around 55. And thanks to Tiplo and our GBI outreach team, the courageous and exceptional effort of our violence intervention street unit, and the direct impact we've seen from the additional patrol officers on the street over the course of this year, we've seen a 60% reduction in shootings and a 75% reduction in homicides. Coincidentally, as the mayor said, the best numbers this department has seen since the beginning years ago of the GBI program. I see a department that's catching the attention of Harrisburg City government and the governor's office and leaders in cities all around the U.S. like Pine Bluff, Lancaster, Baltimore, Reading, and North Carolina. All while still being most proud of the positive outreach we now do to engage this community. Outreach that allows us to foster goodwill and positive equity with our stakeholders. And we do this with programs and initiatives like our new video game trailer, adding our 3rd therapy dog, working with funders like Powder Mill, Wareheim, YCEA, the York Foundation, PTCD, and WellSpan to provide these and other opportunities and resources. Resources like free security cameras for seniors, teaching CPR, offering workforce scholarships to the gang members and crime victims to stop the spiral of trauma and get at-risk youth off the streets and out of life of crime. These are all the ambitious being known for things like the community Christmas carol, the Santa drive-by, youth supporting outreach opportunities at York High, our weekly neighborhood walks, and the phenomenon known as York City Fall Fest. And as I look forward to the upcoming year, this department's 275th anniversary, and all the wonderful things that lie ahead, I ask you to take a walk with me and see what I see around my community. See, I see new interventions coming to help deal with the residual issues caused by our homelessness problems. I see shorter wait times and officers being even more efficient as we push to roll out things like our better scheduling and overlap shift. A shift that will put nearly 17 officers on the street at one time, every day through our business hours. And tapping into a virtual resource with the introduction of telepolicing, a potential revolution to our industry, and a first that will happen right here in York. I see a different and more restorative way coming to support families, deal with delinquent juveniles, and the behaviors that youth bring, with the introduction of our state-funded, principal in the community, restorative justice project, and a safe space, a free space for positive adults and providers that do things and offer things to engage youth, with our York City Police reprogrammed rec center. I see people's trauma being addressed in the moment, more thoughtfully, more empathetically, and more effectively than ever before. When I look around, I see partnerships, possibilities, and potential. I see people coming together and getting behind what we do with support like we've never seen before. I see people overcoming, a community reaching new heights. I see bridges being built and goals being accomplished. I'm seeing old faces in leadership trying new things, embracing the unconventional, and new leaders, the next generation, stepping up, stepping out, and learning from the examples they set. I see new life in old spaces. I'm seeing art everywhere, with beautiful images being made by beautiful people, of beautiful people, for beautiful people. I see a hospital that's making a habit out of saving people from all manner of atrocities, pushing, growing, expanding, while still taking the time to invest in York's neighborhoods and the people who live there. I see a community that's destined to be known for more than just gun violence, and a police department determined to be seen as more than just the agency that locks people up. I see people that understand the importance of reputation and are committed to really helping build our York brand. I see a great place to grab a cup of coffee with a brother from another mother. Have a great meal with someone special, snuggle up and read a book with a little one, or get out and go for a run with friends. I see people making time for other people, and the people who have, creating opportunities for the people that don't. I'm seeing our own spreading their wings and taking on even bigger challenges. And I see the educational system that's determined to help kids win. Ladies and gentlemen, I see change happening. Old spaces coming back to life, and dreams coming true. I'm feeling what community is supposed to feel like, what legacy is supposed to look like. I'm seeing what happens when good plans and great people come together to do something special. I'm seeing a place where people want to visit, and a place where others are proud to live. I'm seeing the York I knew, the York I grew up in, and the York we all want to see. A York that's good for all people, not just some people. A York people want to invest in. A York worth fighting for, worth believing in. And a York that absolutely certain we're going to get there. And who wouldn't want to walk around a town like that? Thank you. Man, when we pull it back together, I really, it means a lot to me. People that know me know it means a lot to me. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it with everything that I have. But the point of why I wanted to play that, even more than not just for all the successes, you heard the numbers, that's the proof that the way we function, the way we're doing things work. You're seeing the people starting to change. People are feeling the climate in this community starting to change. But for me, even more important than being able to highlight our successes, I wanted to highlight the people behind it. The thing that I know, the thing that I understand about me is that when it comes to leadership, I'm humble enough to know that I don't have all the answers. But the thing that I excel at is being able to bring those experts and the people that do have the answers together, putting them in a room, and working with them to come up with the best solution. So that's what I wanted to do today. You met my team that I work with. You heard me dream. We went through all that in year one. And in year two, you've seen the successes now, so you know that it works. Now I want you to meet the people behind the collaboration, the agency heads, the leaders, the people that don't have to, the decision makers, the people that don't have to partner like this, that decide that they're going to invest their time, their talents, and their resources into this community, in working with me and working with our agency to be able to tackle any and all problems in this community. So I gathered as many of them together as I could here today. And I would like to have that conversation, to take this moment with this great group, with all the experiences that you bring to the table, and tie them in together with these leaders and these individuals who can make things happen and come up with the plan for where we're going next in this community. So without further ado, thank you for having me. Thank you for being part of this moment. And I would like to return to my seat, enjoy being able to be one of the panelists, and turn this over to my friend and colleague, Michael Gorsinger, retired former newscaster anchor from CBS 21. Thank you so much.
All right, how's everyone doing here today? Again, as the commissioner said, my name is Michael Gorsinger. I call myself a graduate now of journalism, spent 22 years in TV journalism and got out in November. But when the commissioner and I were talking about a month ago, he had mentioned that this panel was going on, and he asked me to take part, and I was more than delighted to take part in this because not only have I seen the growth of the city of York over the 16 years in which I've lived here, but I wanted to try and kind of make sure that growth moves forward and help in any which way I can. And being inquisitive as I am and liking to ask questions, I got to see this fine group of people and hopefully ask some good questions to keep this community forum moving forward. So we're going to start it pretty simply. We're going to go kind of from left to right. I'd like each of the panelists to introduce themselves. You're on the spot right away, aren't you? Just quickly, kind of your name, the organization you're with, and give us a reason why not only are you taking part today, but kind of some of the good things that you guys are doing around the community.
Thank you for being here, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Is this on? Can you hear me?
Is that on?
Is it on?
Or did I turn it off?
It's at the bottom. There we go. How about now?
Nope. Oh, there we go. All right. I did scout seats thinking like where they were going to start. I was thinking maybe inside out, definitely the wrong one, but that's totally fine. So my name is Kristen Paradise. I am the Central Region Director for Governor Shapiro. So I work in the governor's office. So happy to be with you all today. I love doing stuff like this in general, but also I'm a York City grad, I guess you would say. So I grew up on the 400 block of West Princess Street a very long time ago. We won't date myself in terms of that, but you know, look, I got into this work because I care very much about what happens in our communities. And so what a wonderful treat to be working for a boss who also feels that way significantly. And so I always tell this story, and I'll say it very quickly because we've got a lot of people talk. Look, I thought about this job when it was offered, and I almost didn't take it, which that's obviously incredibly silly. But one of the first things that I had asked was, tell me, what does it look like if I'm out talking with our colleagues in communities and we find out that we're doing something that doesn't make sense? Walk me through what that looks like when I bring that to you. Because I wanted to make sure that I had enough influence to be able to have that conversation, bring that information back, and that we could do something about it. And so partnering with folks that are on this panel is how the sausage is made and how we get things done and how do we make sure that we have that GSD attitude that our governor talks so much about, and how we make sure that we're continuing to move the ball forward. We didn't get here overnight. It's going to take us some time, but ultimately we want to make sure that we're building communities that we all want to live in, stay in, and grow in. And so partnering with folks here at the table is how we get that done. That way?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not from York. I'm going to start with that, but I've been here for a very, very long time. My name is Margaret Eccles-Ray. I am currently the Special Assistant to the Secretary for the Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I'm new in that role beginning in February. My background is in the field of substance use disorder. I've been a long-time clinician, and I have watched as we battle with individuals struggling or we're battling against the disease of addiction. And I've watched the work and the collaboration that we have done in this community to reduce the stigma and create change. And I think it's a beautiful opportunity for all of us to come together and work on all of the strategic initiatives that Michael has embraced and will continue to embrace as he moves forward. I believe in change. I believe in how the city has definitely evolved under his leadership, and I believe that it will only get better. I think it's very, very important that we collaborate. I think something Michael said that we have in common. I don't have all the answers, and I always surround myself by people that are smarter than me, so that when we come together with a final answer, it is a beautiful thing. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Mike Syme. I'm the Senior Vice President and Chief Quality Officer for WellSpan Health. I'm responsible for quality, safety, and a few other things, but also for our community health programs. So the opportunity to really look at WellSpan's role in supporting the community and where we can help to build a vibrant downtown, where we can help to really reinvest in York as a city, as well as the service area. I'm also responsible for our health equity work, so I have the opportunity to partner across multiple areas around reducing gun violence, the START clinic, which is a walk-in drug and alcohol and mental health clinic. We provide grants, and WellSpan contributes well over $1 billion a year to the economy of York. So really making sure that we are able to change our structure over the last 5 years to make sure that we're focusing more on partnering with existing organizations and growing relationships. So have the opportunity to do that.
Good morning, my name is Delma Rivera. I've lived in York most of my life, and one of the reasons I'm involved is it's a legacy. My parents founded the Spanish American Center in York. We lived in this city when we first moved here from Puerto Rico, so it's been just part of who I am in helping in the community. I was the diversity officer at Central School District for 17 years, and I'm here representing Latinos Unidos of York, and I did serve on the Governor's Advisory Commission for Latino Affairs. And it's been so important the way that Michael has really reached out to the Latino community and with the police department. The first Spanish-speaking Latino police officer was my cousin, and my mom and dad worked very closely with the police department, And so that has been very important. Latinos Unidos has done some elementary Spanish courses for first responders and the police, so that when they go into homes and there's a language barrier, that's something very important to overcome. We've done many walkthroughs with Spanish books, with the commissioner going through the city, and that's just one of 2 examples of the many things we're doing. They, Michael and the team, the police department, met with CASA, with many of the members of CASA who are very hesitant to interact with the police. So it's just building these bridges, and it's really my honor to be here. And I've worked with many of the people up here, and I'm just glad we have this opportunity to be here at Penn State. Thank you for the invitation, Michael.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Eugene Washington. I'm currently the principal and CEO of Lincoln Charter School in York, Pennsylvania. While we want to change the narrative for our young people, one of the things that we're really focusing on at Lincoln is finding ways to engage our students in the work, not just to bear witness, but to engage in the work of changing the narrative for their own community. So that's one of the things that Lincoln Charter School is really looking to do. So as I learn some of the panelists here and engage with the panelists, it's always in my mind, how do I get my K through 8 students to be a part of not just the conversations, but again, of the work of changing their community. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tim Barker. You'll have to forgive me, I'm having an allergy attack, so sorry if my voice sounds a little rough this morning. But I'm our first assistant district attorney. I work in the DA's office, and I work for and with my close friend Dave Sunday, who's our district attorney. And I've been doing this for now over 26 and a half years. And one of the things that has been wonderful to see is the changing role of prosecutors in prosecution, and how we engage with our community and what it is that we do. You may have heard from hearing Dave talk, and also from myself and others, that we have a very straightforward mission these days of where we are undertaking collaborative approaches to accountability and redemption. And what we've learned through the years is, yes, people need to be held accountable, but the prior models didn't work. They were too heavy on arrest, and they were too heavy on convicting, and the other aspects of necessary opportunities weren't there. And what we did for many, many decades in our society, shut down many different avenues that were more appropriate and more applicable for creating better communities than just warehousing individuals in the criminal justice system. So what that has led us to is to be involved in many different initiatives. So one of the things that I frequently say after mentioning I'm our first assistant district attorney is I mention I am our managing co-chair of our York County Reentry Coalition. And from what I'm aware of, I believe I'm the only prosecutor who not only does so currently, but also I've done that for the last 6 years since we have started this initiative, and we started it with the non-traditional reentry partners because we realized the critical importance of reentry. With that, I've also been part of many of the advisory boards, steering committees, etc., of many other areas that are not always what we traditionally associate with prosecutors. One of them, and you're going to hear from Robin Shearer in a couple of moments about our Stable Housing Collaborative and different housing initiatives. I'm on that steering committee as well, and I actually was asked a question by our collective impact facilitator. What is the interest of a prosecutor in this space? Well, it has a direct correlation to public safety, to improving communities, and improving people's lives. So naturally, we have to be there. We know what kind of influence, what kind of strategic planning, what kind of overall community planning for an entire county a district attorney plays. And so that's why Dave and myself, we've been very committed to do so many of these different initiatives. There are numerous ones that during the course of Q&A that we can go ahead, we can mention, we can talk about, but I also know we're trying to keep this to 2 to 3 minutes, and this is a topic that I could go on for hours on end, especially when we hit our GVI with what's occurred there in the phenomenal work of Mike and Tiff and all of our great city partners. I mean, it's kind of results that I can truly tell you that not only was it amazing to see us obtain, but also something that was so necessary. And they're the kind of things when you look back on, I'll just close with this, as a prosecutor, oftentimes people ask about the cases. The cases mattered individually for the individualized justice and what we did for victims, what we did in an individual case with defendants. But what matters in terms of legacy is what did we do to build a foundation and raise the quality of a community to where the next generation, the generation after that, and the generation after that, et cetera, can lead better and more fulfilled lives than what we did. And that's what we are seeing occur here in York County. I'm so proud to be partnering with all these individuals, and thank you so much, Mike, for inviting myself, Dave, and our office to be here. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am a teacher, so I like to see everybody's eyeballs. Do not worry, it's not going to be more than 3 minutes. My name is Ski. I'm the president of HAC, Central Pennsylvania's Community College. How many of you have either attended HAC, any of our 5 campuses, graduated, or know somebody who went to HAC? Would you just raise your hand, please? Okay, about half the room. Good, good. The other half, the doors are closing, and we're going to give you registration forms for our winter term and then for the spring term. But anyway, I just want to let you know that we have been here over a decade, and we truly are your community's college. And it is very important that you know we're working with a variety of organizations here with child care education, all the way up to those when you get there, 65 and over. We have programs for those. So many of you don't look like you're at that threshold yet, but when you get there, do think of us and go to the website and take a look at our 65 plus program for the classes and all that you can take for free. So we're really delighted by that. But what I did want to say is that we are grateful to the OLLI group of making this happen. Commissioner Muldrow, I can tell you, of the 65 school districts we serve, the 11 counties we're in, there is no place like York when it comes to the engagement of the partnership that he and his office have been able to bring together. And so we are delighted to be part of the More Grads, Less Funerals program that has been going on. And we really want to play an important role in that as well from a training or education perspective. We're working with York County. The warden there is a faculty member at HAC. And so we're trying to get our criminal justice students into that program so they can really see what goes on there. But we're going to be offering medical assistant programming. We have a big EMS program on the York campus, so we're educating a lot of the EMS folks in this area. And finally, just to let you know, we are very, very interested in working with business and industry as well as the partners that you see up here. York is very fortunate to have these individuals. I know there's sometimes comparisons to another city that has a different color rose, but I really want to make sure that you can be proud of what's going on here under Commissioner Muldrow and others to make York such a desirable place to be. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good day. Since he stood up, I'm going to sit down. Since I was going to stand up and you stood up, I'm going to sit down. So they won't accuse me of trying to copy you. I'm going to tell y'all while I'm really here that they won't say, I'm here because the commissioner told me to be here. That's why I'm here. And it's hard to say no to Commissioner Muldrow. That kind of rhymes. It's hard to say no to Commissioner. I'm a coin that. It's hard to say no to Commissioner Muldrow. My name is Larry Walter. I serve as the senior pastor of the Shiloh Baptist Church here in York, Pennsylvania. And like my dear sister, I'm also from outside the area. I'm from Florida. I've been here about 8 years. My wife and I, we moved here to take on the assignment of being the senior pastor of Shiloh Baptist Church 8 years ago. And most people who find out I'm from Florida most times ask me, why am I here? I'm here on assignment. And that assignment is to make an impact. I'm here, and Shiloh is here because we want to make sure that we are influential, we impact, and we impart. One of the things that I oftentimes ask Shiloh is, if we move from the community that we are in today or tomorrow, would that community miss us? If that community does not miss us in our absence, we have not done our job. And so part of what we do is to partner with organizations and individuals such as Commissioner Muldrow and all the ones who are here, many of you I've worked with before, to make an impact. People are hurting. Society is changing. And like my predecessor just said, in terms of reaching out and making a difference in the lives of individuals from an institutional perspective, from the church, sometimes it becomes more challenging because you deal with the religious aspect. And so for us, it's not about religion, it's about kingdom, it's about connection, and it's about partnership. And we believe in doing that. We transform lives through ministry. So I am grateful to be a part. Thank you. I'm sure you might not be the only one standing up, but you just took the wind out of my sails because I was going to stand up. And it's hard to give a preacher a mic when he wants to stand up. So thank you so much for having me here and being at Penn State.
Well, good day to everyone again. I'm Julie Pinos. I won't stand because I just ran in here, so I got the fortune of sitting next to a teacher, a preacher, and a commissioner. So moral of the day, if you're running late, do not run late because you will be seated at the very front and in the middle. But aside from all that, it's so great to see, to be here with everyone and also have an opportunity to sit alongside all of these community anchors and leaders in their respective spaces that are all here because, again, now to be a leader, there needs to be a sense of passion, and all of these individuals have that passion and then some to give so much of their time and efforts and skill set to do the work, to lead, to share with all of you, but also to make sure that in looking behind, the other individuals are also able to come up with them and learn with them alongside. So again, I'm just incredibly, I just keep looking around with like all the individuals that are here to my right and left. But my name is Julie Pinos. I am the Executive Director of the Bloom Business Empowerment Center with the York County Economic Alliance. We are a county-wide chamber of commerce, economic development, and you might be wondering, well, why is business here? But I've been with the organization for 8 years in the York County community now for a little over 10, originally from Brooklyn, New York. So the Uber driver confused New York for York as I was trying to get here. But I've stayed here ever since and I love every second of it. But in thinking of why is the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Corporation here to share with all of you and sit alongside all of these great leaders, it's because the community, our business community, and our community at large are really all, they have to be at the same table. One cannot succeed without the other's support and the other's collaboration. And it's been something incredibly powerful to see over the last 8 years with the organization. And certainly in the time of pandemic, being able to deploy resources, information in various languages with many of these individuals to my right and left and going out to share this information. And it's been able to really strengthen a lot, build trust and strengthen some of those partnerships to deploy tools for small business individuals that want to start a business or want to grow their business, individuals that want to connect with employment or training opportunities, students here that want to connect with internship opportunities and see what's in their community and how can we help be part of that. And we rely on the great work that all of these leaders to my right and left are doing day in or day out. Because if we don't, and if we're not working with them, then we can't, it's not justice for us to say York County is a great place to work, live, and play. Because we want to make sure that we are really highlighting the collaborations, the assets, and also looking for the opportunities for York to continue to grow. And I'm very thankful that I have the ability to be a small part of that through the Bloom Business Empowerment Center, where we deploy loans, small business grants, educational classes, in English and Spanish for budding entrepreneurs with childcare as part of that, the resources. And we convene a series of hiring fairs across the county in partnership with our nonprofit resources to all really help promote all of the great things that are happening in this community. So that's all parts of the county, from Hanover to Dillsburg, Delta, the city, and everything in between. So again, thank you for having me, and I'll turn it over to the commission. And I'm going to hold on to the microphone.
You can hold on to the mic for that side of the room. At this point, I'm going to take a quick pause just to be able to say for my OLLI companions, the OLLI group, you have to, I'm going to use Tim Barker's terminology. At this point, you have to start to see where we're going with this. You have to understand the intersects, as Tim always says, and how each one of these disciplines connects with the other to be able to get us to the success that we watched in the video. So as we continue to move on and then we move into the discussion phase, with that said, seeing the power that's in the front of this room, at this point today when we have these conversations, when we start dreaming together and filling up that whiteboard, no question is off limits. No issue, no concern. I want to know, we want to know how we can move the needle even farther in this community. Like Tiff always says, we're good, but we could be even better. And with that, I kick it off to Tiff. Love, I love you.
I love you.
Testing, testing. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh man, there it goes. That's what fills me up. Hello, I'm Tiff Lowe. I'm the GBI project manager. Where do I begin? I guess I will begin with honesty, right? I'm nervous. This is the third mic I've had in my hand in less than 5 days. You will see me leave here a little early today, please excuse me. I have another presentation to get ready for, and I'm gonna be nervous there. But what helps me, after I always, thank God for even putting me in this position, is just focusing on my passion. And that will never have me nervous. I'm not going to take up a lot of time, but I'm going to tell you this. My pain, my life experience is what has me in this seat. It's not my title. It's not the degree that I hold. It's not the degree that I'm going after. It's not the many things that you guys see in the 2-minute clippings on News 8 or CBS 21. It's literally my story. It's my pain that has turned into passion. And as I look at all of you, and no matter what room I go in, I always try to figure out, how do I relate with everyone? It's not about your skin color or mine. It's not about where you came from or where I'm going. It's about, what do we have in common, right? And just because I did X and you didn't, we still have something that could have got us both to X, right? So let me explain what X might look like in this room, right? So just to hit a little bit, right? My pain is abandonment, abuse, neglect. The list goes on. A lot of people in this room, regardless of what your title is, regardless of how big your bank account is, you understand some of that, right? Yeah, I see the heads nodding. And what happened with me was I didn't have the tools and I didn't have the resources at the age of 13 and 14 and 15 and so on to help me. So what my ex ended up being was incarceration. My ex ended up being a lot of other different things that shouldn't have been. Other people's ex was a great career. However, when we peel the onion back, everyone that was nodding their head, regardless of which way I went because of my pain and the way that you didn't go because of your pain, we all still feel that pain. So we go back to the beginning of why we are all in this room. We're all in this room because of our pain. Regardless if you want to admit to it or not. That pain, it turns into passion, and then that allows us to be on panels like this. So I'm just Tiff Lowe. The GBI project manager title allows me tools. the degree in education allows me tools to go back and help those that was once me. So thank you guys for allowing me to be here. And again, please excuse me when you see me run out. I will be going to William Penn following this to speak to young adults that need to flow today. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Endai Devi. I am the GBI Assistant Project Manager today, and that's as of this is my third week in this role. However, I have been working alongside GBI for the last couple of years. More effectively, the last, I guess, year, I've been actually working really alongside with them. And I'll just kind of give you a little backstory. I, too, moved here back in the 90s. I came from a place, never heard of York, PA ever in life, like where are we going? To a drug and alcohol facility where my mother was a resident. So that kind of gives you a little glimpse of maybe some of my past and some of the things that I've experienced. And I didn't understand why I came here, why. And I always had the idea of like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? I finally realized I am my purpose, and the things that I've experienced is leading me and has led me to actually work with GBI. Not because I've been involved with gun violence, however, I do know pain, I do know abuse, and my goal and role is to come alongside the individuals that we work with and give them a place of healing. Last year, I worked for the county for about 12 years, working with families, and I always felt that I wanted to help in some kind of way. But guess what? Working with families, working with your own family, working with your own trauma, you burn out. And I was burnt out. And last year, I decided to resign from my job at the county. And I didn't have a plan. I had no plan, but I knew that my Creator was going to make sure that I was okay. I left. I went to Africa for a couple months to find myself, to heal, and to pick up tools so that I can bring back. I had no idea where I was going to do. Even when I came back for months, I just said, you know what? I'm going to tag along with GBI. This is what I'm going to do, because I know that I could have also been incarcerated for the pain and the hurt that I experienced. So with depression and anxiety, I kept all that in, but now I have the tools, and I want to be able to give the tools to the individuals that we serve with healing and create a space within GBI that they feel comfortable, that they can heal. Give them some alternatives, like breathing exercise, meditating. We're going to get a community garden together so that we can allow them to do some alternative healing, because I think that's really what we need, so that we can recreate a different life for my grandchildren, the children that we have in the community. So this is my purpose, to just continue to go alongside with my partner in crime here, so that we can definitely reach as many children and families we can in the community.
Good morning, everyone. Before I talk about my professional role, Muldrow is, I call him Muldrow, he is actually my mentor. I've known him since I was in high school, so anytime, like Dr. Wildtower said, anytime he emails or texts and says, I need you to show up, we show up. A lot of times you may not know what you're walking into, but get dressed and you show up.
That's right, right there.
But outside of that, I am Diaz Woodard. I am the Community Outreach Coordinator for WellSpan Health. I think Michael Son did a fine job of describing what WellSpan's goal is and what their mission has been in this community. So along with building those relationships, I go into the community, reestablish the ones that don't exist anymore. I reinforce the ones that do exist, and I create new ones when opportunity presents itself. In addition, I am the visionary behind the Reprogram Recreation Center, in partnership with the City Police Department as well as Michael Muldrow. So we've been working behind the scenes for quite some time now, trying to bring this vision to life. So I look forward to what's to come in the next year or so. So thank you.
My name is Claire Toomey. I'm the Executive Director of the Human Relations Commission for the City of York. On paper, what we do is we investigate any types of discrimination that come through our doors. in order to assure that people get the justice that they deserve, that they are denied in various and sundry situations. Boy, I was better equipped to give a more profound answer than that. And you, excuse me, you two blew it for me. Because one of the things that I think does connect, if I can be so bold as to use, Tiff, what you were suggesting, our connections, is in this work that we've already heard about and that we will hear about, is a demand for humility. And boy, both of you just reminded me that is really the major connection, that there is I can give you all the lowdown of what Human Relations Commission does. I also have a history of being a pastor, so I could talk for hours about it. But really, what I'm struck by is the reminder that what we're trying to do in our office, and I believe, again, if I could be so bold, is that the quest is for human flourishing for all humanity, right? And so that as each of us are speaking, I'm aware that the way we are woven together, the way we are compelled to do what we're doing, is because we all see the basic dignity and humanity of each person that we come across in whatever office we hold. And I think, Commissioner, that's what you bring together here is a representation of those of us who are so compelled to assure that dignity exists on every possible level for every possible citizen. That's my profundity for the day, but I thank you both for reminding me about that.
I wish I would have started first because I had a whole other way I was going to do this as well. So take everything they said, but especially what Claire said. So my name is Robin Shear. I'm the executive director of an organization that works with people that are unhoused. So we work with people that are homeless. We partner with many people on this panel because it's a complex issue. So tied in with that is housing and housing instability and housing insecurity and just the overall issue around housing that we are facing, not just in York County, but nationwide and beyond. One of the things that I think is vital, we are all working within complex issues that intersect in every way. Housing's an issue that all of us deal with. Safety, all of us deal with. But what we have developed as we would treat people with dignity, and I mean, the commissioner, that is his part from just the police department, but York City, is that we have learned to be humble with each other. We've learned to disagree well, but develop a relationship of trust, which is really, really important. Things are going to change in my world a little bit. I was thinking when the personal connection, so I wasn't going to share this, but I will. 40 years ago, when I started dating this guy, he looked at me and said, someday we're going to get married and live in York. And I said, you're nuts. I don't even like you. We've only been dating 2 months. So in 2017, when we moved here, we were like, wow, okay, wow, now what do we do? So the organization that I'm part of, I was the founder. And in 16 and a half weeks, I'll be stepping out of that. And I've been thinking a lot about what I want to do because I'm compelled to do things with these people. Collaboration and community for complex issues is vital if we want system and dignity for our people, the people and each other, but our community as a whole. So one of the things that I'm excited about is for me to be able to pour more into advocacy and into the relationships we're building within the city and the county, but reaching out to partners and people that want to change things around homelessness and housing across the state and across the United States and in other countries. But I feel like the big takeaway, Tiff is, she's got a huge heart in my heart, and I always listen to her when she speaks, and you should too. But it's really the time that we all spend coming together, knowing that there's a reason, and not being afraid to dig into those complex things, because it's people, it's all of us. And that's, I think, what the commissioner gathers, because I am one of those people who also, when hey, are you free? Will you do this? Typically my answer is like, yes, and then I go, why did I just say yes? And then that's why. But this is why. This is why.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Pinkney, the senior pastor of the Bethel Commandment Church, right around the corner here, 1000 South Queen Street, corner of Queen and Springdale. I'm York City native. Grew up on the 500 block of South Queen Street. Commissioner Muldrow would cut my hair before my basketball games when I played basketball in high school, and also here at Penn State York. So I'm extremely grateful for the invite coming here today. And what we got going on at the Bethel Commandment Church, and I'm also the CEO of Pinckney's Vineyard Faith Ministries. It's in Redline. It's a teen mother baby group home facility for adolescent girls with babies. We house anywhere from York County all the way to Philadelphia County as well, Schuylkill County, Mifflin. We serve throughout the state of Pennsylvania, even all the way out in Allegheny now. So, you know, that's just a snippet of what I do. But however, I want to go back to the year 2023 in January. A fellow named Eric Chase came and knocked on our door at the church, and he asked a question. He said, you know, are you able to house homeless for 30 days? And considering the neighborhood that our church is in, you know, it was a big question mark. And we were like, well, I don't know. And the very first thing I did was I called Commissioner, and I said, hey, if we open up our doors to the church, will you back us? Because we don't want no backlash from the community. And he was like, I got you, no worries. Thankfully, nothing happened. We ran a tight ship when they were there, and that's what opened up my heart then, right then and there, to see the homeless population. And then from there, and just sitting down breaking bread with them every night, feeding, because in that month, it was very, very cold. So we were open up 95% of the time during that time frame. So moving forward, so after that was done, we housed them for a month, opened up our doors every night for a month. Then, you know, just started sitting around with our executive board as well, and just started thinking at the church and saying, okay, what can we do next? You know, what can we do to help our city? What can we help to help our community as well? So we thought about it and said, well, we started partnering with the movement. We started partnering with other local churches as well, and saying, okay, look, why don't we open up a soup kitchen? And so right now, December 7th will be a year that our soup kitchen has been open. We have a soup kitchen that we cook a community meal every week, hot meals, every week, every Saturday from 3 to 5 o'clock that they do come in. And, you know, the main focus is, you know, having that everlasting, you know, allowing that manifesting that everlasting love, you know, also enduring kindness and watching, you know, that unchanging grace to occur when people come through those doors. So, you know, talking what you said about dignity, treating people as though, because we serve anywhere from York City, West York, York Suburban, Central York. We serve the whole entire community of York, and we have had over 77,000 people come through our doors within the last year to sit down and eat a hot meal. And then the biggest thing is that not only do they just come in and get a meal and go, but they're allowed to sit down as a community. They're allowed to sit down as a family. And we have people that serve in our own church, and also volunteers that do come in to help and sit down with them and talk and minister to them as well. Let them know that, life is better. Of course, we have seen people that have been afflicted with so much pain in this world. However, the most important is to show them the love, show them kindness, treat them just like you want to be treated. That's one of the greatest commandments is love your neighbor as you would love yourself. So I'm just extremely grateful just to be here today, to sit amongst all of you all, and just have the privilege to just take the time and introduce myself.
All right. Last and certainly the least is I am Joel Falconer. I'm the lead pastor at Union Lutheran Church. We're on the corner of West Market and Penn Street. Our goal at Union is, we've heard it a number of different ways. People, talk about, being part of the community, welcoming, wanting to have an impact. One of the ways that we talk about it is celebrating God's radical inclusion, that God includes everybody, and God loves us for who we are. We are one of the few churches that fully includes and celebrates the LGBT community, and we enact that in everything that we try to do. All the marginalized populations, we try to do our best to serve, to love, and to help just be a part of the process, to be part of the community, to partner with most, if not everyone, maybe not everybody, but if we haven't, we're open to it. Most of the people here, and we just do what we can to try to be of service. Like I said, we're community focused. We try to celebrate our community, celebrate its diversity, celebrate the wonderful things that we have right here in the city. I'm always very grateful to see the work of all these amazing people. And, we just try to be the best help that we can be. If they need space to hold an event, if it's hosting different things, whatever it might be. Some of the things that happen around Union is we have a free clothing room. People come in throughout the week to get free clothes. We are blessed to be able to host for now the Beacon, that Friends and Neighbors staffs and runs with some of their awesome and some of our awesome volunteers working together and bringing in anywhere from 70 to 150 people a day for be able to come in to have their mail delivered there, to have get something to eat, something to drink, to be able to rest, take a nap if they want to be in community, as we've heard, really kind of helping people build that community and connect with resources, connect with as many resources as they can. We have some free meals too. We have the Well Food Pantry. We have a number of different opportunities where we try to host, like I said, and be part of whatever is going on. And as everybody else said, when Commissioner Muldrow calls, I show up because I'm afraid he might have something on me. So if I don't, I have a guilty conscience, obviously. So, but yeah, no, I'm just blessed to be able to be here. Thankful for everybody here in this room and all the ways that we can be a part of it, and grateful to have the opportunity. So thank you.
Let's give another hand for this amazing group of collaborators. So definitely one thing I think I take away from just a little bit of conversation we've had so far is just the amazing collaboration that already happens in this city. And I'm not originally from here. I'm actually a New Jersey transplant, but I've lived in this community for I've lived in this community for 17 years, and in that 17 years, I would say it's been an amazing change from what it looked like when I moved here in 2007 to what it looks like now. And much of that is through the passion of people like you see in front of you. But as a journalist, I think one of the main things we always look for when we're doing stories is not only the depth of the story, but then the last question I always ask, and a lot of people get annoyed by it, is what's next, right? Because I think one thing you hear with this group of people is that they're never necessarily just sitting on their laurels, but they want to see what's next for this community and how we can improve. So one thing we're going to start, I thought it'd be interesting to start, and Joel, I'm going to have you start, and it's going to be a simple run across the room. In one word, I want you guys, each and every one of you, to describe or tell me the biggest issue that this community faces today. Just one word, and then we can kind of build off of the conversation, off of some of those reflections. Joel, you want to get us started?
One word.
One word.
Into the mic yet.
Yeah. Probably the other end.
Claiming
Better,
time.
Out housing.
Homeless.
Ego. Racism.
Inconsistency.
Love.
Opportunity.
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt.
Mine was opportunity, hers was self-doubt.
Empathy.
Low self-esteem.
Leave it to the educator to have more than one.
I'm sorry. One's hyphenated.
It's hyphenated.
The man who stands up.
Boy, I'm trying to think of how to narrow this down to one word. Regionalism.
Fear.
Compassion.
Inequity.
Stigma.
Investment.
So I think you see a bunch of different answers, and I would really like to kind of drive some of the conversation that we're going to have now with one of these words. Is there any, when we're looking at kind of these words, does one stand out in anyone's mind? Just jump forward and say, so we can kind of dig into it. Because I think when you're looking at, obviously the video, we saw what's happened, all the good that's happening in this community. But I feel like these conversations can really open the door to what we can do next to make this community even better.
I'll dive in and throw one out there. When I say opportunity, I guess I should have actually said lack. Because I actually think lack drives a lot. Lack is at the root cause of a lot of things in this community, if we're honest. The envy that can sometimes manifest and look like racism. The violence that is oftentimes perpetrated because of lack. There's so many things that at the end of the day, lack is at the root of it. Everybody had the same opportunities to be able to grow, thrive, and produce and further themselves in this community. Would it look the same if people weren't fighting for scraps, whether that's kids, community, nonprofits, anybody? Would it look the same?
What do we think is one of the driving forces behind those lacks of opportunity?
What was the question?
What are some of the driving
I had a little bit of the question you had before, and he got me first, so I didn't turn the mic on fast enough. But housing was actually the first word that came to my mind. And so I chose investment intentionally because everything on that list takes dollars. Now, the dollars aren't the problem. It's the agreements that we benefit from, that we can move forward with that investment. Because we have to agree that spending money on these causes makes sense. Right? And if we can't agree there, right, then we can't move forward. Right. And so much of all of this really comes down to, can we all decide? This one isn't on. Can we all decide that economic development cannot exist without safety, security, and that investing in those pieces, making sure that folks are healthy and investing in those pieces, that it matters in a way that gets us all to the same thing that we all want to get to, is that community that we want to live in, that we want to grow in, that York has the makings and the growth and opportunity that's already happening in those spaces. What can we do to continue to support that? So, I'll pass that down. Claire and I are going to
So that's exactly the lack of opportunity that I was talking about with inequity. So you look at even the age of the schools. So you look at the high school in downtown York versus suburban versus Dallas County other school districts. You look at lead, the risk of lead poisoning in some of the housing in downtown versus suburban areas. You think about the different opportunities that people have within the community if they speak English or if they don't. You look at the disparities that exist across not only this area but the entire country. So how do we invest in breaking down and actually raising up groups so that they have equal opportunities for health and wellness and being able to do what we all want to do, and that's basically live our best lives. So if you look at statistics across the country, urban areas tend to have lower life expectancies, and that changes with the breakdown of the communities for diverse populations. So the more diverse populations you have across the entire country, the lower the life expectancy. So why is that? And how are we going to address that? Because everyone deserves to live the same life.
Steve, did you have something?
I do, and so since I have this reputation of standing, I will again. Very quickly, one of the things that I want to do is join Suli in talking about self-doubt, low self-esteem. I'm an outsider, so I've only been in central Pennsylvania for 13 years, and I speak to you very humbly when I say this. I've had the opportunity of being in 65 school districts, 11 counties over the last 13 years. Here's what I have to say from outside eyes, if you will. I have seen York be transformed, especially in the last several years, with Commissioner Muldrow driving a lot of that change. And HAC is very happy and very proud to be a part of the initiatives many of these people in the front of the room have started or continue to work on. But the one thing that I've always found about York, and I still do today, and I say that as an outsider, I'm just giving you my view, there's a low self-esteem or there's a lack of self-confidence in the tone of the city, the county, if you will. I joked briefly when I first spoke about the town with the other color rose. For 13 years, I have always heard in most meetings I've been in, well, they do it over there, or we can't do it because they do it. I think what we saw in that video today, which is very exciting, is we have to let York folks know there is so much to be proud of in this community.
Yes.
And as I said, this is the first group, the only group that I know in all of those groups that we work with throughout this very large central Pennsylvania service area that brings professionals like this together who have one heart, and that is for changing lives, destinies, and family trees. And I would just recommend and encourage all of you, if you are York folks for 5 years or 40 years, be proud of who you are and what is going on in this community. And let's get that word out, because the other color rose doesn't have all the answers and all the solutions. York has a lot that many cities are looking at, and even in our police work, we know that York is being looked at as being that safety area that other communities are looking to see how to get into the fabric of this community and continue to celebrate it and make it even safer.
Tim, do you want to jump in?
Okay. Were you next?
No, it's okay.
No, go ahead.
It's all right, because I was trying to pull something up from my phone to use, so.
Okay. So what I said the term regionalism, and I want to explain what I'm trying to encompass by using that term. Let's try to get it into one word. You know, York County is a county made up of many different small communities, primarily dominated by boroughs, townships that surround the boroughs, and of course we have York City. York City itself, while it may have a governmental entity, that is a community made up of many small neighborhoods. We tend to talk about what we do like we're a monolith, be it talking about the city or be it talking about the county, but in fact not recognizing what each area, actually how people look at each other. They begin by looking first at who their neighbors are and what the individual neighborhood is. When we go ahead, though, and look at planning for what to do, though, we do it very top-down And in doing that, we tend to isolate each community and then put them in competition with each other rather than coming up with common solutions. So we slam into each community a sense of regionalism where A, we're not going to get the help that we need, B, we're not able to communicate with our brothers and sisters in each community with whom we really do share common ties and common bonds throughout this county. It's one of the things that we've really tried to work on. We've got a couple buzzwords for it. One that we'd like to say is comprehensive community planning, trying to figure out, under the scope of that, really embracing concepts such as access to care models. How do we get around everywhere and have everyone realize that we all have these ties together to go ahead and share for the development of resources to everywhere? We all know how difficult transportation is in York County. It is a huge barrier. It also has an impact upon housing. It also has an impact upon healthcare. It has an impact upon so many different things around. And if we continue to compete and have that competition take on a small regional dynamic, rather than realizing if we come together as communities that we can share together, invest together, grow together, then we are not going to succeed with the way that we could. So that's what's trying to encapsulate in one word with regionalism. It is very powerful to go ahead and make sure that your neighbor is doing well and is growing with you. But your neighbor is not just your immediate neighbor in your neighborhood. There is a larger community aspect, and here we have a larger county aspect as well, that we need to have the comprehensive community planning that we're working on. And that's what we see in all these collaborative initiatives. Why we're coming together in so many umbrella collaboratives and really a design for the county overall, and why these partnerships are so critical. So that's what I meant by regionalism, trying to go ahead and fit all those concepts into one word. What you're seeing up here, though, is really a blow for the collaborative approach and a blow against isolation and a blow against separate communities rather than communities coming together.
Tim, I know something when I'm out and about talking to a lot of people, they talk about the idea of breaking down the silos, right? For so long, people in all these different organizations or different didn't collaborate, right? Everyone lived in their own kind of silo, and now law enforcement talks about that a lot, being able to collaborate, share resources, share information, and get, kind of more of a regional look at things and a way to better the community. Suli, did you have something in?
Oh, sure, and I think as you were mentioning about the opportunities to collaborate, and Tim and all of this, all of these components and things that we set as challenges are so intertwined, and they all have to do with investment, as Kristen pointed out, not just from the dollars, but from the human investment, the ability, the willingness to invest and collaborate. One of the things that I wanted that I was just quickly trying to pull on my phone was in one of the classes that I've been in, we're looking at just components on leadership and like business management, and all really trying to show us that businesses, or the best types of businesses, are the ones that are willing to really look at all of the components at the same time, versus just this department or this function of the business is going to stay here and not going to speak to this part of the business. So to the point of Mike, inevitably there will be silos, but again, it's the investment of the time and the willingness to collaborate, to really cross department look at everything that's happening from, okay, how are we leveraging data, which our organization really has taken a very forward stance and forward participation in being a source of data, so that collaboratives around housing, around reentry, around health equity, all have these data points to cite, but also these are all the things that we can take to our business community to say, it's not just the right thing to do, But here's the why, and here's what it means for you from a dollars perspective. The dollars that you are going to lose if you're not willing to invest in your current employees, but also in your future employees. And that means investing in your schools at early ages. And that is where we've been able to embark on this new initiative called ECHO, which is supporting the childcare space from a supply and demand from the earliest stage of early childcare, where we are helping to start up more early childcare centers in homes and in centers, but to also help with the capacity and the wait list, and at the same time help to train individuals that want to go into the human development, early childcare, teacher assistant space, working closely with Dr. Ski and the team at HAC. All of these components and collaboratives are so intertwined, but maybe 5-6 years ago, a business may not have talked about childcare as a need of, this is what we have to do, we have to get invested in this. So a lot of this just is so, and as I'm doing a lot of these like now readings for school, one of the things that I'm just going to like quote from this that I think is not just for business and it just transcends all of the work that we're doing is, to maximize sustained impact, the transformation must combine deep functional expertise with a cross-functional perspective. And I think that's what all of us here are bringing to this panel, and in the work of the county's comprehensive plan, the city's comprehensive plan, and how all of these organizations are at the tables now to help lead these efforts forward. So.
Well, I think this group is a great example of collaboration and action. How do we collaborate better in this community? Are there ways that we can involve more people, more groups to take ownership?
I would say yes. I said earlier empathy, and one thing that to add to what you mentioned, you said regionalism. I would say territorialism as well. York has a stigma of not being very welcoming to people who come here from outside communities. And when I say empathy, not only is there an influx of people coming here from other parts of the country, there's an influx of immigrants coming here from different countries. And I know at Shiloh, we've seen a uptick with our Haitian brothers and sisters and Hispanics. And part of the influx here, and Dr. King talked about the beloved community, that what happens to one of us inextricably affects all of us. That no person is an island, but there's a domino effect. And change can be scary. York has a history that does not look like what's up here. When you look at this community 30 years ago, 50 years ago, and many of the individuals who may have been a part of that community 50 years ago, and they're looking at the influx of change that is coming into this community and the change that the commission is trying to do. You talk about the county agenda and the plan. There's a county plan, there's a city plan. So you see all this change. And if you've been here for 50 years, it can be very scary to see all of this influx, and it's happening rapidly. It's happening very rapidly. I think we got to get back to common decency. I think fear has caused people to become so isolated and so territorial and so regional that we began to fight over the lack. We began to scrap, and it becomes survival of the fittest. I saw this in Miami. I came here from South Florida, and it started happening with the Hispanic population with the Mariel boat lift. When Castro emptied many of his jails and they came to South Florida, there was a clash of culture. And then you start seeing immigrants from Latin America. You start seeing immigrants from Haiti. You start seeing immigrants from the Bahamas coming into South Florida. You had this fear. And I remember when Haitians came here and they were being called boat people. And you see this same terminology being used today in the news cycle to marginalize certain communities because of fear. And they were calling Haitians boat people, but they were calling our Cuban brothers and sisters migrants. And we fought to change that. We fought against the Janet Reno administration to change that, because Haitians were not boat people. They were people coming here because they were fleeing for their lives. And they was just as much as an immigrant as anybody else coming here. But we see this same dynamic of fear being in our news cycle, being in our communities. And as long as there's fear, there's going to be frustration. And as long as there's frustration, there's going to be fights. And as long as you have fights, you're going to have fallouts. And when you have fallouts, there's no way to implement that family, because we're a family. One of the things here in York County, you have county versus city. So many times I heard York County versus York City. But what happens in the city affects the county. And what happens in the county affects the city. So can something be done? Yes. And I think it starts with this group. I'm part of what we call the clergy, and the commissioners are part of it as well, the Clergy Chiefs Coalition. And we've been having conversations for about 5 years. And we recently had a situation where we came public. And when the public came to see us, the clergy and the police chiefs together, we were laughing, we were having a good time. And after that conversation, much like this, we had people coming saying, are y'all really that tight? Is this for real? Because what we see is that clergy and cops don't get along. We were having a candid conversation, but it took 5 years. And Dave Sunday is one of the ones that walked with us in the community street soldiers. I think much can be done, but the community needs leadership. We cannot impose the community to do something that we're not willing to do. And so this collaborations of leaders, we have to get behind what commissioner is trying to do, have to get behind what the district attorney's office is trying to do, have to get behind what the York County Economic Alliance is doing, have to get behind what HAC is trying to do, and partner with them and make it where it's not just a vision, but it's reality. And when it becomes real, it becomes tangible. And when it becomes tangible, it becomes touchable. And when it becomes touchable, it becomes transformational. And I think that's what the commissioner is trying to do, to get this thing from concept to reality. But the concept will never become a reality if we don't get on board and make it real to the community, because there's a lot of fear. And I'm looking at some of you in this audience. There's a lot of fear in this community about where this community is going and what this community is going to look like in the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Working? Here we go. Gotcha.
I'm going to dovetail off that just a tad. My office is tasked with accountability. At the end of the day, that's what we do. We hold people accountable for right behavior, right? And so one of the things that I just want to put out here, and Dr. Wallhauer, you were just talking about concepts, and that's something where I want to hold us accountable. Because we tend to talk in concepts, conceptualities, dreams, hopes, desires, but not necessarily realities. And one of the realities of sitting in this space with you right now is I'm guessing that if I asked a houseless person to raise their hand, there isn't going to be that person in this room. I'm guessing that if I asked someone who just lost their housing because of discrimination to raise their hand, thank you, there aren't that many in the room. I'm guessing if I asked somebody from the LGBTQ community if they even had the guts to raise their hand in this room, thank you, that they've been on the receiving end of discrimination. And as I say these specific, or mentally ill, how about mentally ill? I'm guessing that we will have a better hand raising if everybody had the courage to do it. But there's stigma, and so we don't always want to share that information with a crowd that we don't know. My point of saying this is that in order for any of these things to be realized, we have to move beyond fear, but we also have to move beyond bias. We have to move beyond ego. We have to move beyond the idea that somehow we have cornered the market on morality, on spirituality, on theology, on economics, on professional accomplishments, on the size of our house, on whatever it is in our neighborhood, and we have to move back into the conceptualization or making conceptualization reality through relational parts. Like, we can talk concepts all day long, but until the people who are affected by those aspects of discrimination, fear, and hatred are part of our conversation, none of this is sustainable. I don't care how much money is in the pot. I don't care how many people come to the table with all of our talents. If we cannot be in that relational aspect with one another, understanding, putting aside judgment and discrimination, and I don't mean the technical discrimination of the Human Relations Commission, I mean that deep-seated garbage that we carry, we can't do it. No good intentions, no amount of money, no amount of degrees, experience, or any other great ideas are going to come to fruition unless we can grasp onto the humility and grasp onto the conceptualization of humanity and embrace the reality of what that means and what it calls each of us to be in these collaborations.
Margaret down here would like to say something, but I think, to your point, there's so much more that binds us than should divide us, right? I mean, as people. And so if you open your heart and your mind to people, even if they're different from you, there's so much to learn, right? Go ahead.
I'm going to be really quick. I just wanted to make sure that within this conversation, and there were a great number of excellent points that were brought about, that we never forget that we need to maintain the focus, and it was touched on briefly about individuals that battle with mental health issues and substance use disorder. It's something that we strongly don't talk about enough, don't accept, don't receive, don't conceptualize. And as an advocate in that field, when we're talking about economics, we lose sight of those who make up our community, who can definitely be assets to the community if they're allowed to heal. And in order for them to heal, the stigma does need to be removed so that they have the ability to ask for help and receive the help. We talk about the disease of addiction sometimes as it's a cancer of sorts, and it's not. It's just what it is. It's a disease. So when we talk about education, when we talk about prevention, early childhood education, we're talking about the prevention in the schools, because there's a plethora of children whose parents battle with the disease of addiction, who can't make it to school because their parents are stuck. So when we talk about what we want to do to enhance the community and strengthen the community as we collaborate, we want to maintain the focus on helping those who don't have a voice, right? So we can be the voice for the voiceless and collaborate with Commissioner Muldrow and the other members of this team so that we strengthen our community and we bring individuals the ability to rise up from where they're stuck so that they can move forward and be successful.
Joel, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, and just building off what everybody has said, and especially Claire and Margaret, the big element I think that we often miss when we sit here in these panels is we do a good job of naming the problem. You know, we've all been in 700 meetings where we've named the problem and concepts of whatever is going to maybe solve it. And many of us do a lot of really good work that helps people who are finding themselves in certain situations. But where I try to kind of push where I can and push to annoy sometimes intentionally is one of the areas I think we really need to grow in is to really work with advocacy, especially when it comes to some of the root issues that our organizations on their own cannot really do much about. You know, some of the issues that we're finding that are keeping people stuck are policies, either at federal or state levels. It might be a county policy, it could be a city policy, or whatever it might be. And some of these are things that I think could be changed, but we don't always know how or why. You know, you think about, you know, mental health, think about people with intellectual disabilities, think about people, you know, suffering in many different ways. A lot of the people that we see every day that are part of the homeless community, that Friends and Neighbors works with every day and night, are people who, you know, they say, here's my situation, and unfortunately we have to say there's literally nothing for you. There is nothing anywhere that we could do to help you in your situation. When, you know, again, they needed to close and be reformed, but when the state hospitals were shut down, the answer was put them in prison. You know, now the answer is, well, we just, hopefully we can ignore them, and they'll stay out of sight, or we push them and drive them away where we don't want to see them. And then, yeah, we end up affecting everybody. And so, you know, we've run into, well, we'd like to help them, but we legally can't. And that's where I kind of look and go, well, why not? What are the things that need to change? What are the laws that need to change, the policies that need to change, the actions, the perceived laws? A lot of times people don't realize what they can or can't do. And then to really adequately fund and resource those things. You know, well, I could go on for a very long time, so I'm going to stop.
But you made the board.
I made the board?
You made the board.
Oh, then I'm out. That's all I care.
Tap out while you're ahead. Yeah, I feel like writing bureaucracy on there multiple times, so I never forget it. Because that's.
Yeah, I mean, bureaucracy is part of it, but it's also just how are we treating, you know, tenants, right? How are landlords getting away with what they get away with? And not all landlords are bad, I'm sorry out there, but you know what I mean. How are corporations able to do what they do? And people, so, you know, there's things that cause a lot of the issues that we then have to work with and provide the food, the meals, all these other things to help the people where they're at. But we don't often ever get to those root causes.
Can I just follow up you? One of the things that comes up in conversation just with what we do, and this is just a factual thing. We get referrals from the health systems, the police department, the courts. We have people that are unhoused, there's no housing for them. They get referred to us, we give them housing in the bag. So we're trying to have people find a place to keep them alive, outside. Everywhere we send people to, we don't own that, so it's private property. So a lot of times I'll have conversations with people. Are we as a society okay with having an 80-year-old person that has never been unhoused before and giving them a bag of gear and telling them, okay, we're going to try to keep you alive? Because, and it doesn't matter, a family, somebody that just aged out of foster care, somebody that really should be getting mental health services or something else. I mean, we saw that with COVID. People weren't sick enough to be in the hospital, they needed to leave. They were released to us. And then we would try to find a safe place, a lot of times on the steps of their church, to house. And I think for everything we're talking about is complex. It is. But to me, because I see it every day, and I live it every day, like many of us do, is the question then, are we satisfied with this is how we do things? This is our society. Because if we're not, it's complex, it's going to take a lot of money. You mentioned earlier, we didn't get here overnight. We're not going to get out of here overnight either. But we've got to start working together, have a strategy, collaborate, and know it's going to cost money.
I definitely want to, I feel like I'm at that time when I was in school where I'm like, I can't make my hand big enough, you know.
So you asked the question of how do we collaborate better? We have to remember to make our table bigger. And so when we are thinking about solutions, there are people that are out doing the work. Make sure you invite them to the table. I'm already taking mental notes, right? So one of the things that we are working on right now, the governor signed an executive order around housing and homelessness, right? So it's creating a task force very similar to what we did in the economic development strategy. Let's make sure we make our tables really big. Find out what's working in Pennsylvania. What can we do to make that broader? How can we make sure that we eliminate those, oh gosh, we didn't know that role existed. Oh, is it ours? That's not helpful, right? Government's complex. There's a lot of pieces that are in place. Our system is complex. But the only way that we get where we need to ultimately be is making that table bigger. You have ideas, you have solutions, share them, right? Find folks that are in these panels that like, hey, I have this idea, I want to talk to someone. I have this experience that I don't know if you knew this was happening in Pennsylvania. Tell us. That is how we move forward. And so I definitely want to make sure that if we haven't had an opportunity to meet to date, that we spend some time together, because I want to make sure that information gets back to where it needs to be, because we're going to fix this. I'm incredibly ambitious and optimistic, but that's how you do it. You have someone like, please come tell me that it's not fixable, because that is like at the top of my list at that point. So, but I'm energized having this conversation. I hope you all are as well. So I just wanted to make sure that we got to add that to the board. Make your table bigger. Make sure that make sure that you're inviting.
You made the board.
Community. I love it.
You made the board. I know I don't have my mic anymore, and I'm not going, Mr. Washington, I'm not going to take your space. I just want to say, off of her energy, I just wanted to say to the group, please, you're leaders. As you look for leaders and you're looking for people to be in leadership positions, and we're rolling into the vote, the time for all of us to vote, please, stop picking leaders that don't really believe their teams can win. Think about that. Listen to them, look at them, pay attention. If their energy doesn't really believe that the team they lead can win, don't keep them there. Mr. Washington.
Sure, thank you. As we have panels like these, which are just incredible, let's never lose focus that the young people are living in fear because they don't know what the next steps are. So we have to find a way to include them, whether it's with our digital footprints, whether it's student journalists from across the county, but finding a way to get those young people to see the work that's being done on their behalf for their future, but include them in the work, because a lot of them have wonderful ideas that sound so simplistic, but real talk, it can happen. We need to incorporate our young people K through 12. Thank you.
I think, Jennifer, you had a question for the group?
Yes. Hi, I'm Jen May. I'm the director of OLLI. Thank you for being here. I told Commissioner Muldrow when he came, this is my favorite day at OLLI in the fall. It really is. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. But what I do want from you while we have you here, I love the concepts. That's amazing. But if we could go down the line, we have a lot of members who are looking for things to do. So if you could have one thing that they could go home this afternoon, tomorrow, this weekend, to do to help, what would that be?
Oh, I love it.
Maybe go one by one?
I love it. Action steps.
So use your voice, get involved, you know what's going on in your communities, find those places. So whether it is talking and calling your legislators and saying, hey, that thing that I really want to see happen in my community, I think you should fund it, I think you should vote for this. Those are, the people hear that, right? And so write your letters, have those conversations, but share your voice because it's unique and it is so helpful. I'm sorry.
I'm going to assume by your reaction you shared the same sentiment.
Use your voice, advocate, and use your voice.
I think it's important to know what your passions and your interests are, and then that way you can help others with that. And I'll ditto your voice. I felt that I've always been a voice for the Latino community, for the senior community, and if I can, what I wanted to say was, my word was compassion. I think that is something we often are lacking. And if you make an effort, you don't have to join groups, you don't have to be on a board of directors, have compassion for your neighbors. Go to events like this so that you can learn about others that are different than you. When my mom and dad came here from Puerto Rico, my father being a Puerto Rican Latino physician, there were people in this York community who said, I'm not going to be treated by a foreigner. And so they later on learned this is a good man, a good doctor, good bedside manner. You have to take the time to know people, and by that, you can't hate somebody that you know. And I think that's very key.
Oh, you just made the board again.
It's not fair that you're starting down there.
I know, right?
They get all the good
All right. That's fair enough. They've had the last couple. Want to say this up? We'll go ahead. We'll come down here and then we'll roll back around. How about that?
Thanks a lot. So what I want to share with GDI, just a quick story. Last week I had the opportunity to work with a young man that has been known to be involved with gun violence. He was currently working on his driver's permit. To some of us, that's not really a big deal. However, if you have been, in prison, or if you have been involved in a lot of street crimes, that's not something that they're definitely, interested in doing. So we went last Thursday. He did not pass, but I said, listen, we got this. We both in the, like nervous, and I said, you got this. I need you to study this week. And he said, all right. And I said, I don't want to study. So this past Tuesday, we went back. I said, all right, we got it. He said, I've been practicing. He actually showed me on his phone where he practiced the test over and over the weekend. And as we sat there, I said, okay, you got this. Go take the test. He passed the test, and he was super excited. He said, you know what? I wouldn't even be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. I wouldn't be trying to get my permit and getting legal because I didn't even care about it. And he was like, okay, are we going to schedule the test? I said, yes, we're going to schedule the test. He has it scheduled for a couple weeks from now. So I say that is because everyone is a resource. You may not be able to, do whatever, but you can take one of these kids out to go help them practice driving. Do, some of the small things that are really impactful, because now that little piece of paper, he's like, I'm going to go tell my boys that, I got my test. You can get your test too. So these are simple, small ways that we can impact the community. So every Friday, and she mentioned about expanding our table, every Friday we have a community meeting at the York College Community Center, where we have a community meeting where you can come and see how you can volunteer or see what's going on and see what's happening within the community, and just be a resource. And I think that consistency and just showing up is really important. So here you go.
What do the initials stand for? Gun.
Group violence intervention.
Oh, group violence. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would say share the knowledge. Like, there's a lot of people in this room, but I think that if each of you go back and tell one more person, and that one person tells another person, you can spread the knowledge of where the direction of your city is going and get individuals to stand behind all of the individuals up here and all of our missions, all of our goals, and as well as the vision that Commissioner Muldrow has for the city of York. So if there's someone in this room that you think would benefit from getting this information, I would say pass it on, have those phone conversations, and keep this conversation alive so that we can continue to move forward.
Sure. One of the things that I had seen work in another county in a different part of the state, where they actually had a county PTA, not just the school or a school district PTA, but a county PTA, and they tried to incorporate members of all ages to those PTA meetings to talk about what the county can look at as far as education, thus moving some of these initiatives forward. So maybe that's something your county wants to think about. How do we incorporate more individuals from diverse walks, journeys, so it's not so regionalized, to be able to share with the common mission of what we can do to benefit everybody in the county.
I think I'm going to ask that you step outside your comfort zone and connect with somebody you don't know that you would never ordinarily connect with, and get to know them. Let them get to know you, be vulnerable with humility, and model for other folks what it means to step outside your comfort zone, breaking down those boundaries, coming out of that regionalism, those towers, wherever we're talking about, so that there is another understanding of another human being that you ordinarily never would have interacted with at any other point in your life. That is probably the easiest and most difficult thing any of us can do.
I have just a couple comments quickly to make, and unfortunately there's actually a collaborative meeting that I have to get running to on housing. But the first thing I want to say is, and I know we put a lot of things on the board, and we're all driven people that are not content. And we hope nobody is content. There's always a better future and a way to drive and to go. And I've been very much accused in my life of never appreciating anything that we've done. And so I was like, okay, we've accomplished that. Now what's next? There has been a lot of good, though, that has done. And I do feel like we need to loop back around at some point to what Mike originally showed you. Because the crime rate reductions, and I start with just some of that we saw in the county and the city was very real. The feeling that we have for each other throughout the county and the city is very, very, very real. And when you talk to people, how do you feel about being from York? What is said now is very different than when I started in the office over 26 years ago. There's a change. There is a growing sense of pride and accomplishment. That has been hard fought. And I do believe that some of these things we can see when we track data, certain data pieces changed in different ways, different spots on. 2013 was a key data year. That was when we maxed out the bad in a lot of different areas. Yeah, we've had things not go great at different times and stuff, but there was really a max point in a lot of areas that happened then. And then Mayor Kim Bracey started the Prayers for Peace. And I'm not one who believes in coincidence that all of a sudden you can really track a lot of lines following when that occurred, as a lot of people began first at the beginning. And this is where I will say, and I'm just speaking from me now personally, what is it that keeps me getting up and being engaged no matter what, every day, no matter the frustration, no matter the sorrow, no matter anything else? It's very simple. It is love your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Those two greatest commandments. Love. Love. And that's the reason why we are all here together in the end. If you do not do this and walk this journey and have love in your heart for not just your friend, but for your enemy, not just your colleague, but the person that's opposing you. If you lack love, then there's nothing. And that is initially what there has to be a commitment to. A commitment to love. And that's begin at the beginning.
On those words, I think we're going to close. We're about a half hour later, and I think we could probably continue this conversation for a long time. But let's give a nice round of applause to the panelists who took their time out. And since you've been accused of dragging everyone here to this great collaboration, you want to have a few closing words, Mike, to bring it home?
Again, I want to thank you all the panelists, all my partners, let me just call you what you are, all my partners for being here, participating in this, helping us peel the onion and get to some things that we can make into action steps, that I can make into action steps as I continue to get in rooms, I continue to be able to fill seats and assume these positions, whatever God has for me next. And I want to say thank you to OLLI for once again inviting me back. You didn't have to. You didn't have to. This for 4 years now. Allow me to be part of your conversations and allow me to bring you in as part of my journey. But I am proud to be here. I'm proud to be back. I'm thankful that I've been able to dream with you and build with you and tell you what I was going to do, but more importantly, with my dad as my witness in heaven now, be able to bring that stuff to fruition, to be able to see it through. Thank you so much. I look forward to possibly being back next year. And if hearing from these individuals, these leaders, if that didn't fill you with hope, nothing will. So thank you for being part of this community. I love you guys.
You got one more thing? Julie's got one more word.
One immediate, like as you mentioned, how can you get involved? So just, in addition to November 5th being election day, but the very next day, as many of the conversation, Robin, Kristen are here, our organization, we're hosting a downtown update at the Appel Center. It's a deeper conversation on the complexity of homelessness and different ways to get involved or learn more about the subject. Both Robin and Kristen, that unfortunately had to go to their other commitments of the day, will be some of the featured speakers. So that's like an immediate something to do, so I can make sure to get that to you. Thank you.
While my mic is still working, if the panelists that are still here can join me in the back by the Penn State Mall so that we can get some photos. And I have a sneaking suspicion a few of you will probably get interviewed.
Said that to all.